Today I really feel the need to come out here and make this video about Rudy Gobert because we all know that across the NBA community, Gobert can get a lot of hate from some of the casual fans around the NBA that think he's overrated for many different reasons because he's not a flashy player the way he's perceived by the media, and the list goes on. But really, that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. I'm first going to talk about the truth about Rudy as a basketball player and really just how good he is out there on the court of playing his role and really being a top 25 player in the NBA, in my opinion. And then I also want to look at the stupid reasons why he actually does get so much hate from people across the NBA community and the casual NBA fans, and pretty much debunking those reasons as well. So let's get into the video and start with some analysis on especially just how good Gobert's been this season. So far in the 2021 and 2022 NBA season, Rudy Gobert is having the best year of his career so far, and he might be well on his way to winning his 4th Defensive Player of the Year, which would actually tie him for the all-time record with Ben Wallace. So, I mean, really, what I really like about Rudy Gobert and what the casual NBA fans around the league need to realize about Gobert is he is one of, if not the very best in the NBA at playing the role that is given to him. What I mean by that is Gobert isn't asked to shoot threes. He's not asked to put the ball on the floor. He's not asked to run the offense and do things that guards are supposed to do. He's asked to play incredible pick and roll defense and protect the rim on that side of the floor. He's asked to be one of the best rebounders in the NBA, which he is. He's asked to set screens, roll to the basket offensively, get easy dunks, and clean up the glass on the offensive side of the floor. And that's exactly what he does, and he does it at such an elite level. It's actually crazy how well he plays his role. So I really don't understand how, if you're actually watching NBA games, you can really get mad at him and hate on him for what he's doing, because he's doing exactly what's asked of him and at a very, very high level. I mean, defensively, Rudy is probably the best defender in the NBA right now, in my opinion. And if you disagree with that because of maybe you think he's not a good perimeter defender, well then you have to at least agree that he's a top 3 defender in the game. And something I really didn't like about last year, how people were getting mad at Gobert for being exposed on the perimeter in that series against the LA Clippers, is it took the entire season for a team to figure out how to expose him on the perimeter, because he's actually still a good perimeter defender, and any NBA fan that actually watches regular season games would know that as well. The reason he was exposed in that series is just because of, first of all, how the Clippers had such good ball movement and how they got really favorable matchups for them, and Ty Lue had a great coaching series against the Utah Jazz. So, I mean, the thing about Rudy Gobert too is the Jazz defensive system most of the time, except for pretty much that one series, allows him to stay in the paint and completely dominate, and he's the best in the league at doing that. Gobert, when you watch him play, it's pretty obvious that he's easily the best interior defender in the game. This year so far, he is averaging 2.3 blocks per game, but that doesn't even really show how good of an interior defender he is. He affects every shot around the rim. He's a very, very good pick and roll defender as well. He can do that thing where he kind of is able to pretty much guard 2 guys at once, get hands up when that guard is coming around the screen in the pick and roll, trying to shoot a floater or something, or a mid-range. He does a pretty good job of that. And then if he's defending in the post, you're just simply not scoring on him. I mean, Gobert's just that talented and dominant of a defender. And not to mention that he's probably the best rebounder in the league as well. So far this year, he's number 1 in the NBA in rebounds per game with nearly 15 per game, number 1 in defensive rebounds with about 11.5 per game, number 1 in defensive rebound percentage, and number 2 in total rebound percentage as well. So Gobert is just an insane rebounder, probably the best defender in the NBA right now, and on that side of the floor, he plays his role fantastically. And then same thing offensively. I mean, like I said, he's not asked to put the ball on the floor. He's just asked to be a very good screener, do some dribble handoffs at times, and roll to the basket, be a really good lob threat, and be extremely efficient. And Gobert plays this role so well. I mean, if I see anyone call this dude an offensive liability one more time, I think I might punch myself. Like, it's actually insane. Like, you have to be insanely dumb and watch 0 NBA games to call Rudy Gobert an offensive liability. I understand that when he gets the ball on the perimeter, he's going to be given insane space because he just can't shoot the 3, but he has so much impact for this team on offense as well. well that if you call him an offensive liability, you just simply don't know basketball. You take Rudy Gobert off of this team's offense and it doesn't even function nearly the same way. He is number 1 in the league in all of these stats: screen assist points, and then his efficiency is absolutely insane. As I know he just gets a lot of easy dunks around the rim, but he's very good at rolling to the basket, getting some lobs, and Donovan Mitchell does a great job of attracting attention. Same thing with Mike Conley, but you still have to give Rudy Gobert credit for being number 1 in the league in field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, 2-point percentage, and true shooting. All of these, he's number 1 in the NBA. So you can really see here how he plays his role so well and does all of this while putting up a decent volume of points as well at 15 points per game right now. And I know that you casuals aren't going to like this next part because I'm going to talk about some advanced stats here. And listen, I'm going to be the first one to admit that some of the advanced stats aren't necessarily 100% accurate, and that's for sure. But the thing about the advanced stats is you still have to factor them into a player like Rudy Gobert because they really do show his overall impact on both ends of the floor for this Jazz team, which is really insane. So he actually is number 1 in the league as well in win shares and defensive win shares so far this season. He's 4th in the league in player impact estimate, only behind Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, and Nikola Jokic, and he's also 7th in player efficiency rating and 7th in block percentage as well. Like I said, these advanced stats might not always be accurate, but you do have to factor them in. Overall, the main point here is that Gobert just has so much impact on both ends of the floor for the Utah Jazz, and right now they're sitting with the number 1 offensive rating in the NBA and the number 6 defensive rating in the NBA, and I'm absolutely positive that if you take Gobert off of this team, they don't have a top 10 defensive rating, probably not even a top 15 defensive rating because of just how much of an impactful interior defender he is. And then offensively, a lot of the offense does flow through him, and he gets so many easy baskets for this team, and like I mentioned, it's extremely efficient and a really good screener and playmaker overall, so they probably don't even have a top 5 offensive rating without him as well. And with everything I've talked about so far, I really don't see how Gobert isn't a top 25 player in the NBA right now, and you have to at least consider him as a top 5 center and maybe even a top 3 center. I mean, for centers right now, 3 through 5 is probably between him, Karl Anthony Towns, and Bam Adebayo. It's really close and they're all pretty much good at just different things, but something to consider here, just a question for you to think in your mind right now: if you were to take Rudy Gobert off the Jazz and put Karl Anthony Towns on the Jazz, do they really get even better? So that's something to consider there. Defensively, they probably get a lot worse, and then offensively, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns is more talented, but Rudy Gobert is the better screener. He probably fits into the Jazz system a little bit better, and Rudy just plays his role so well overall. That was the main point of what I wanted to get across right now. If you hate on Rudy Gobert, that's like hating on a doctor for not being a good lawyer. You see how dumb that sounds? So if you're hating on Rudy Gobert right now, you really need to actually watch NBA games and stop being a casual. So to end off today's video, I wanted to talk about what are the actual real reasons that Rudy Gobert gets hate. I mean, the first one that stands out is how he's obviously not a flashy player. I mean, he's doing nothing out there that's really entertaining to casual NBA fans who maybe just watch some highlight packs or maybe just tune into the odd game every now and then. He does nothing to really stand out that way. He just plays his role really well. The real NBA fans, and especially coaches and NBA coaches, they understand the actual impact that Rudy Gobert has out there. And then another thing here too is that Gobert is kind of perceived from the media's perspective as not nearly as good as a player as he actually is. Gobert getting a defensive rebound does not go on SportsCenter and House of Highlights. Gobert having a good defensive possession and stopping a pick and roll does not go on House of Highlights. Gobert getting an offensive rebound and laying it back through the hoop does not go on House of Highlights. Gobert getting screen assists left, right, and center do not go on House of Highlights and SportsCenter. What does go on House of Highlights and SportsCenter is the times where Gobert is still trying to be the incredible defender that he is, and maybe every now and then gets postered. That's what goes on House of Highlights and SportsCenter, and because of this, the casual fan fans think that that is Rudy Gobert's legacy, is getting dunked on. So I think this happens with kind of a lot of the traditional big men around the NBA, is how they're perceived from the media as players that aren't necessarily, well, they aren't coordinated, that's for sure, but that all they do is go out there and get dunked on, when really that is so far from the truth. And lastly, one other thing that I noticed that really no one's been talking about ever since this happened, but ever since mid-March of 2020, this is when the Gobert hate has really been taken to a whole new level. And we all know what happened then. Rudy Gobert was the first NBA player to test positive for COVID-19, and he did the thing a couple days before that where after a press conference he touched all the microphones to show that, you know, he wasn't scared about the whole thing. And I think ever since then, the whole NBA community has kind of been hating a little bit extra on Gobert because they somehow think that he was the one that started COVID in the NBA, when really, if this didn't happen at all, COVID would still, like, it's a global pandemic. Like, the whole thing would have still happened. The NBA still would have obviously shut down, whether it was a day or two later than that, I don't know. But really, the whole Gobert thing didn't even have that much impact on the pandemic and the pandemic affecting the NBA in general. So, and the thing about the microphones too, like, it's later come out that COVID doesn't even spread through objects. So Rudy Gobert didn't get it from that. So, I mean, if you're hating on Gobert because of this still, and be honest with yourself, and if this is in the back of your mind and it's really deep down one of the reasons why you hate Rudy Gobert, you just need to completely let go of that, because this just had absolutely nothing to do with it. Rudy Gobert's actions he probably shouldn't have done, but it really didn't affect anything with the pandemic and the outcome of the NBA with COVID. So if this is in the back of your mind, get it out as well, because there's no reason for it to be there. So overall, I feel like these are the three main reasons why people hate on Rudy Gobert, and the real reasons why they hate on Gobert, not because he's not good at basketball, but because of these fake reasons here. And basically, with everything else that I've said in today's video, I really don't see how you could hate on Rudy. He plays his role better than anyone in the NBA. He's a top 25 player in the game right now, and there's really no reasons to hate on him. So if you're one of those casual fans that only watches highlights and is still hating on Rudy Gobert, start watching some NBA games and start appreciating how good of a player he really is. So there you have it. That's all I've got for you guys in today's video. Comment down below your thoughts on today's video and your thoughts on Rudy Gobert, and I'll see you all next video.